we were talking about this earlier, debut films usually come from real life experiences.
So the rooster for me is actually a presence of saint. For me personally, it was the saint being present.
More than the mindset, I actually gave more importance to working on the body language of Victoria.
We'll cover all the areas that is going to be there. I am not going to limit camera movement or an actor movement just because I cannot reach a set with my mic.
When the camera sees a mirror, the camera can't go to the mirror. That's the limit of the camera, so you wanted to break it somehow.
Can you make the rooster, flutter its wings? So I'm like, how do I do it?
We didn't have the budget to do all the cleanup. It took a year to just complete VFX. This VFX heavy film under a government scheme, like that was the most traumatic part.
Hi, everyone. I've been raving about this film for about 2 weeks now. You can ask any of the G5A team. And I'm so excited. I get to talk to all of you about it. It's really heartwarming for me to see such a structurally, tight, like you couldn't get your eyes off of the screen. And yet, there's that innocence of a debut film. So just to start off, Shivaranjani, I wanted to ask about your journey of making Victoria, applying for the grant, where it all started.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for making it to the screening. I know some of you couldn't come early and you joined late. I don't know how much it made sense. And it's a dialogue heavy film. I don't know about non-Malayalis, if you could make sense of it. But thank you so much, first of all, G5A, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to screen our film. First time outside Kerala. Thank you so much.
It was our pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm shivering. I don't know if it's so cold or it's my anxiety. Yeah. So some 5 years ago, I was visiting this beauty parlor in Angamali, which is my hometown. And while I was sitting inside the parlor, I saw a rooster, an actual rooster near the toilet with similarly like legs tied. So I asked one of my friends who worked there, she's a beautician, whose name is Victoria, from whom I borrowed the name, about the rooster. And she told me it's given by a friend of hers and it's soon to be taken to Edapalli Church for this sacrificial process you just saw. So I was very excited to listen to it. So I instantly took my phone and wrote this one line: a rooster inside a beauty parlor, a ladies only beauty parlor. So, and it was there for a long time and I was doing my PhD. I didn't get time to check any of my film notes. But then this grant was announced by the government and this is the 5th film that's been made by the grant. So the previous years, for two years had passed. And I thought, why not try my luck? So I wrote a synopsis and sent to the application and it was selected, it was shortlisted. Then we had a workshop with people from NFDC and all, and we got training to prepare a pitch deck. And then we had a pitching session. And afterwards, 5 of us were shortlisted, then another process of submitting your script. And again, final 2 were selected and I was one of them. So that's how it all started. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you. One of my favorite things was the conversation among all the women. And it was very relatable. It's almost like, yes, it's a ladies only parlor, which is why it's possible that these conversations are happening. And I wanted to ask, like, how much of it was borrowed, especially your writing process when it came to the dialogues. And yeah, as I said, we were talking about this earlier, debut films usually come from real life experiences. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a lot of it is from my personal experiences. And most of the stories that you hear are from actual people who used to come to the parlor or who are from my hometown. So after getting this grant, particularly whenever I go to a beauty parlor in Kerala, I would just be very cautious. I'll be like an ethnographer, looking at everything, looking at every detail, listening to the conversations, picking up some stories. So many stories from you see in the film are directly picked up from many people I know, and some of it are obviously like fiction. You write. Yeah, and the relationship part is also extremely personal, and it's also coming from my and my close friends' experiences of dating emotionally unavailable people. So it's you are right. It's mostly very personal. Like every first film would be very personal.
There's also like an intentionality with the men. You know, we don't see men unless they're in a phone screen or behind the door. Which brings us to the only male in the male star of the film, the Victoria's spiritual guide, the rooster. So this is a question for everyone actually. What was it like working with said rooster?
I think I'll start and then I'll give it to Meenakshi because she's she's supposed to answer that. We had a rooster training person and actually a team of 3 people. So it was a very calm rooster to handle. So that's how we managed it. But still, I think Meenakshi had to take too much toll. She would answer that question.
A calm rooster chirping at exactly the right times. That's brilliant.
No, that is luck. I started becoming a believer after making this film because many of the things, the one where you see she's telling him let's go and he instantly gets up, that's accidental. I didn't do anything. We didn't trigger it or we didn't do anything. It just happened. I think it's some divine intervention. Yeah.
The rooster, like I said, was a very professional actor, always on time, on cue, everything. All the other actors were making more mistakes than the roosters, actually. Like Shivaranjani said, the rooster was trained and he was very calm, unlike all the men that we see. Yeah, so no. I'm kidding. But the rooster was very calm. He was trained, and we had a lot of fun. I became friends with the rooster within like 2 days or something, right? Yeah. So and
I think you should talk about that scene where you she did something with her hand to do that
So,
wings thing.
Shivaranjani had asked me to like, can you make the rooster, flutter its wings? So I'm like, how do I do it? And even the trainer was like, I don't know. And I was friends with the rooster, so I started tickling it a little bit. So he just did it. Like, he's a very calm rooster.
Yeah, that's really lovely to know because the rooster is so kind of in tune with your emotional journey in the film as well, and your relationship to the rooster as well as your inner kind of feelings. They're very intertwined. So I'll just, what was the process like getting into the mindset of Victoria? I know there was the accent that you had to work on, as well as working as a beautician. But yeah, what was your process like for this film?
So, more than the mindset, I actually gave more importance to working on the body language of Victoria, because Victoria has been working in the beauty parlor for more than a year. So she knows all the techniques like threading, waxing, and pedicure and everything. So she's well trained. But for post production, we only have 2 months. Pre-production, we only have 2 months. So there was this beauty parlor in Angamali that Shiva had gone to, where she got the idea from. So I went there. I used to go there when they open the shutter. I clean with them. I talk to them. I have lunch with them. So I understood what it's like to work in a beauty parlor in Angamali. I understood what women who work in a beauty parlor things like. So that part was done while I was working with them in the beauty parlor. But the rest of Victoria's mindset is just Shivaranjani. Because like it's her story, the script and everything is very personal to her. So we used to have dinner together after the shoot. We used to stay together during the shoot. So there are certain mannerisms that Shiva use while she talk. Like she uses her hands a lot when she's anxious. So during the shoot, you must all know that how anxious a director would be. So she was like Victoria during the shoot. So just observing Shiva had helped me a lot in understanding Victoria. And she the biggest blessing that I had was the choice of words that Shiva used to describe Victoria, describe the emotion that Victoria was going into. That was the best. I think every actor that Shiva will keep working on, like Shiva we will keep working on in the future, will keep telling about this, because she has the best choice of words and she describes every single instance, every single thought that Victoria has while she's doing a particular thing that she will say. So my job was just to, listen to her. Did I answer too
Yes,
much?
no, that was perfect.
I didn't pay her to praise me.
No, but that's what's so wonderful about your film. It's very, very intentional, everything about it. And one of the things is the fluidity of it, the fluid influx of women coming into the parlor. And it's paralleled so well with the fluid camera work, which is long shots, very, very choreographed. Yeah, Anand, can you talk a little bit about being the cinematographer for this film? Just even the long takes, if you can talk about the long takes, what kind of went into it as a team?
Yeah, so long takes were very challenging, and especially with 3-4 characters in a very confined space, and also the length of the shots, like 6 to 7 minutes of dialogue heavy interaction and multiple points need to, and physically also to carry a 20 kg camera and to dance with the actors, it was difficult. Yeah, it was challenging. I don't know.
I was almost, it's a little evil of me, but I was trying to catch you in all the mirrors because there were so many mirrors. I was like, I'll see the camera now, but it was so beautifully concealed.
It's 1 year of VFX work in under like doing VFX, this VFX heavy film under a government scheme. Like that was the most traumatic part for me. Yeah, we didn't have the budget to do all the cleanups, but we somehow managed. It took a year to just complete VFX. So we shot this film in 2023 May. So it's 2 years since we shot it. So all the time went in VFX.
That's lovely. And you had mentioned this was apart from the first and last scene, which is out in the world, this was the interior was very interesting. I think all the rooms, the spaces, they were very fluid, when the camera is kind of working through it. So can you talk a bit about that, working in that space? What was that like?
Yeah, so the parlor you see is a set we constructed from scratch. So it's set in a studio, Chitranjali studio. It's a government studio. So we luckily had access to it. But one thing about it is that it is not air conditioned. So we were doing sync sound and we had just 2 coolers, which would be off during the shoot because we were recording sound. So it was hard time for all of them, not him, but all of them. And so it was really hard for them when to Anand to especially hold the camera, go around with all the actors and then do that. And I could sit in front of the monitor. My life was easier. But that was the very, very challenging part of this film because we didn't have the infrastructure to make it, easier for all of them. But they took it up, and thanks to them, we are here.
But it suits the characters in the film, just sweating
Yeah.
through.
Don't get me started on the sweat.
No, and about the set, we had mock set built. And Anand, me, and Abdu was the art director, and Kalesh would sit and then, plan our movements inside. Particularly, Anand and me had long sessions of choreographing, like the camera moving from room to room. We did all this during pre-production, but when we came to the set, nothing was working. Then we had to do everything from scratch. We would, from morning to evening, we would do only rehearsals, and then we would roll our first take of the day in the evening, and that was a problem in production because the entire day passed and we are rolling the first shot in the evening. But that was
I would not have that as a producer. Like,
yeah, producers were like, initially they had this issue that usually in commercial films in Malayalam cinema, the first shot would be rolled in the morning, like 6:37. They'll take the first shot, but we were doing it in the evening because we had huge rehearsals, and we would only like shoot like one shot per day, which was 4 minutes. But still, for them, one shot a day is like, yeah. So those were the challenges we faced. But thanks to all of them and their struggle, that we could manage within like 20-21 days of shoot.
Also, it was not just me alone. Inside that set, me and you earlier asked about the mirrors coming, So actors were there, then me and my focus puller, and then Sedu, who is there, he was doing boom, operating boom. So we all had to be in sync, and because of mirror, not all mirror shots were cleanups, and at times we all had to, like, everyone has different positions to go and not being in the mirror in the frame. So it was a dance with all of us, Setu, and
yeah, that's one because the camera is limitless. It goes all around, which is great because it's breaking what even film language wise what we are so attuned to, and it's kind of drilled into us in film school. Like, oh, this is the way it should be. And I think Victoria breaks a lot of those kind of.
That's one thing me and Shiva were discussing. So usually when you watch a movie, the camera fears the audience. Like when the camera sees a mirror, the camera can't go to the mirror. That's the limit of the camera. So we wanted to break it somehow, but we didn't had a clear idea how to do that. With this film, I think we figured it out.
Yeah, you played the line really well where you're trying to be seen and still you get away with it. Which brings me to Kalesh. Any challenges you face? It sounds like you had a great easy job on this.
I think I had.
You should start from the set building.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So we actually, it was shot in Chitranjali studio only, which was not acoustically treated as such. So because of our budget constraint also, we needed to make sure that it is not really reflecting a lot of sounds and then giving it like a feel of a big, like an auditorium sound thing. So we came up with an idea to actually get a lot of sax and then fill them with like hay, which is the cheapest that we could do. And then we would conceal the whole top portion of the set so that it is not reflecting the sound, and then it doesn't give you like a vibe of a studio, rather than it sounds like it's a beauty parlor or more of a closed space. So that actually went on to suffocating all the people who are inside, and I would actually sit outside the set, and then I would be with my setup and everything. But people who are inside, like Setu, Anand, they all used to sweat, and it's similar. I think when you say that the sweat is actually contributing to the characters, I really do feel that it is actually giving. I mean, more I watch it, I feel like that is actually contributing, because it's a very most natural thing to. Usually, you don't get to see that in films where you have all the controls and everything. So, and one of the even when I watch it right now, we had a decision taken to actually record the calls that Victoria do in real time. So usually what people do is they actually they say the dialogues with another person, and then dub it afterwards. So we had a very conscious decision to not do that. Also, because the kind of language that we are trying to put forward, it felt like it would bring a lot more naturality to how that conversation would go. Even the pauses, even the small gaps that is going to come, all that is building the tension, all that is making you feel a bit more relatable to a person who's trying to talk with the person, and there is a network glitch going on. I really felt that was nice.
I
Yeah.
think you should also talk about how you recorded the song. That
Yeah.
was live
The-
recorded,
the
not
acapella,
not pre-recording, not
Yeah.
playback. It's,
So we had like a lot of sessions with the girls over there. We went and recorded. No, we practiced a lot, like a lot days in studio, and we made sure that it is actually performed proper on the set. And then we went for my like 5-6 takes, and then we were good to go. And they were perfect. We were also in sync. Yeah,
Oh wow.
came pretty
The
nice.
dream to get it done in only 6 takes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I also, there was also a lot of overlapping dialogue, and then there's the rooster, and then there's the phone ringing. There's a lot going on in the soundscape. So was that challenging at all to kind of capture that?
I would say we were really prepared for it. I mean, when even I read the script and then we were having all the discussion, one thing that I wanted to be very particular is about that sound will not block any of what is going to be taking part in the take. So that was my foremost this thing. So I made sure that anybody who is going to be there in the scene is mic'd. We'll cover all the areas that is going to be there. I am not going to limit camera movement or an actor movement just because I cannot reach a set with my mic. So that was our we decided very before that sound is not going to be a challenge for you when you're shooting. So we were pretty on point with that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Prepare.
Yes, prepared.
That's awesome.
Kalesh even came up with some DIY innovative
Yeah,
techniques
yeah,
to
tell us
hang
more.
mics on.
Yeah, we had some DIY hanging mics and stuff.
Oh,
we
wow.
we made to some welding people and all. Then we made a sort of it's just
Yeah, that sounds really
it's just
great.
fun. Yeah, that's it.
Another element in the film that I think Meenakshi, you can talk to it, because every time you've broken down, the character breaks down. We are inside the bathrooms, which is in a darker space. So lighting is what I'm coming to. And then the final one, which happens when the lights have gone out. So it was almost like that was a cue for this beautician who's, on top of it, she's taking care of everyone. But there are these moments where you break down. So by the end of it, did it feel like, oh, I'll only cry in the darkness? Yeah, do you want to?
I don't know. What was the question?
The lighting. I think Shivaranjani also
yeah.
can jump in.
Yeah, that was an intentional thing, like obviously, and it adds to this narrative of a person who is scared to show her feelings outside. She is putting a facade in front of everyone and then acting cool, but she has so much inside that she goes to like dark spaces or enclosed spaces and break down. Yeah, that I think, and we
Right.
had to have this bathroom had to have a unique look. That was decided because we spent a lot of time there. One thing I was very clear to all of them from the beginning was I didn't want, because it's only happening in one place, I didn't want it to be monotonous. I don't want people to get bored seeing the same scene, same side of the parlor all the time. So we planned it such a way that if you see one side of one ankle of the parlor, you don't see that again. You see everything. By the end of the film, you understand the spatial structure of the parlor. So that we made sure. And also we had this thing that we should do, play around with lighting somehow, because it gets monotonous after a point. So there should be some change, especially in long takes of coming all the way from door to inside the parlor. Like there's a light change in every room. So that those things add to your, I hope, when someone watch it, and then you don't get really bored that you're only seeing one space all the time.
Right. Yeah. I
I
really,
think
really.
he can add about the lighting.
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah, for the lighting part, So, I think when Shiva first narrated the idea to me, and within the script itself, it was well written how each space should feel for an audience emotionally, and also even with the first, I think when she shared the first idea, there was a floor map written like about the parlor. That was pre-designed. So then we just figured it out, like the levels, the light levels we need to keep on each portions of the parlor, and which scene happens where, and lighting accord. And for me, the main challenge, it all happens when these things happen on a single shot. It's difficult. On a usual film, you can, when she's crying in that scene, when the light goes off, to keep that natural light bouncing into that level, no, it's hard. Like if you shoot that shot alone, it's easy to replicate that. But like when it's on a
You
6 minute
weren't
shot.
allowed cuts, it seems.
Yeah. Also, we weren't shooting on order. So like due to actor availability, and like we are shooting like not scenes on order. So I had to pre-lit everything before the first shot itself, because the continuity matters. So all these had to really planned in such a way. Then I got to I did some minor tweaks throughout the film, like with the story arc. That's invisible, I guess. Yeah. So these are what I got to play.
Oh, wow.
Also, these lighting and all those were never a cue, because Shivaranjani always made sure that I only focused on my job, that is acting. The lighting, the things that are happening around were never a cue for me. She never made me. She never told me anything else other than that. So I didn't have to worry about any other technical aspects. Even the long takes that we were talking about, we used to rehearse for hours and hours, just the long takes. And there were many positions that I had to maintain. There were many instructions from the cinematographer as well. So he used to we had to walk from the main door to the bathroom and then come back all in one shot. So we used to rehearse A to B, B to C, all of those positions that the cinematographer tells me. We used to rehearse for a long time. So I only had to worry about the positions, the mindset of Victoria. Lighting, everything else were their job. So my job was the easiest job in this movie.
Yeah, and it was such a wonderful performance too. I was telling Shivaranjani outside, I was like, I couldn't stop looking at you. It was just, yes, the camera is on you for most of it, but just your emotions and everything. And at the end, when you see that clarity kind of come on, it was wonderful. So thank you for that performance.
It's
It
one
was
of her
great.
first films. It's her first
Yeah.
work, I think.
Yeah, we have a group of debut
people.
filmmakers over here, which is always amazing to see. I think lastly, I wanted to ask about the spiritual elements in the film, and kind of where it comes from for you, because especially the pre-credit post-film sequence, a lot of it is really interesting, and the conversations among the women constantly surround it. So apart from the rooster, it kind of came in all of these ways. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I had this thing in my mind when I came to know that this rooster is. When I first visited the parlor and found the rooster, so I knew about the Edapalli church ritual, but not this up close and the details of it. So what I did was talk to people around that area and try to understand the stories that are connected to this ritual. And faith is a word that is very important for me for this film. Faith that she has. So she's not shown explicitly like a believer, like we doubt if she is a believer at all. Or the only thing that is that there's that deck of cards with biblical quotes that she checks. And so there was like I had to like, the dream sequence was a spiritual kind of awakening for me, that it's her inner world, and those were the spiritual cues that she's getting. So the rooster for me is actually a presence of saint. It can have multiple interpretations, but for me personally it was the saint being present in her life to guide her silently, quietly, and maybe making a little bit of sounds here and there. So the dream sequence, and also there was this one shot in the beginning, I don't know how many of you were there for it, where she's ruffling through the rooster's feathers and she's getting lost in it for a minute. For me, that and the dream sequence are like one world.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning of it, and which we later come back to. And the tail end, where we actually showed the documentary kind of shots of the Edapalli church, is something I wanted people to see, because most people don't know what is a sacrificial rooster is all about and what happens to it. And that was actually, even the first shot for that matter is a documentation of my hometown. It's Angamali Junction, where I get down from, like, going to school, college. So it was for me a personal documentation of a time period, marking it and recording it and keeping it. So yeah, I hope.
Yeah, it was. I really liked, like, the rooster escaping kind of pushes her into that reverie, the dream sequence. So very much in that kind of spiritual mindset with Victoria. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
And yeah, thank you for coming.